Multiparadigm Data Science with the Wolfram Language. Section 5. Get the message across. We have covered the first 4 stages of the multi-paradigm project workflow: question, wrangle, explore, analyze, and now we are in the last stage, ready to communicate the results of our analysis. Hopefully, we've found answers to the questions we set up in the very first stage, whether expected or unexpected. These answers now need to be communicated clearly. We have to tell a story with these answers in a manner that the audience appreciates and finds useful. Visualizations form an integral part of this stage of the workflow. Pictures can communicate a lot more than tables of numbers. Let's look at a few examples of creating interesting visualizations in the Wolfram language. These are the populations of the G8 countries. Hard to decipher anything from a bunch of numbers like this, but seeing them in a bar chart helps us compare the numbers much better. Let's go through a few steps to annotate this picture so that it can convey all the required information in one glance. Starting out with the labels for the bars. Now, we know which bar represents which country, but the labels are too crowded here at the bottom, so let's place them above the bars. Actually, it might look neater to place them in callouts. Okay, but what do these bars really represent? We know we've charted the population of these countries, but to make sure our audience knows it too, we need to label the axes. We could provide a frame for the chart and use the frame label as an alternate way to label the axes. Let's remove the top and the right frames. They look a little crowded. And let's also set a plot label to provide a caption for this chart. So this chart conveys the information well enough, but if we want to stylize it a little more, a plot theme is a quick way to use pre-built collections of style features to customize the chart. Chart style can be used to change the colors and specify other styles for the chart elements. Lastly, we can set the image size to view our picture with just the right dimensions. That was a simple example. Now let's try another one, adding another feature to the dataset: GDP per capita in addition to population. The rectangle chart can help us visualize both pieces of information simultaneously for each country. The width of the bar showing the population and the height showing the GDP per capita. And we know a chart has no use without labels, so we label all the relevant pieces to ensure that the chart is interpreted as intended. Suppose we have a third feature in our dataset that needs to be represented in the chart: life expectancy in addition to GDP per capita and population. This is a good place to use a bubble chart with the GDP per capita and the life expectancy on the X and the Y axes respectively, and the size of the bubbles representing the population. The bubbles are colored according to their sizes, but it is easier to understand the scale of the numbers represented by using the colors in a legend. The tooltip by default provides the information corresponding to the size of the bubble, in this case the population. But it is easy to customize the tooltips to provide more information. For example, we can create a little table out of the information available for each data point and add this table to the tooltip. So now we have packed a lot more information into this simple chart without making it crowded and without compromising the aesthetics of the chart. The Wolfram language makes it really easy to make simple visualizations more engaging by adding interactivity. The manipulate is a powerful function that is actually pretty easy to use. We can wrap a manipulate around this expression, and now we have the ability to choose the information we would like to see. For the example we were working with, we can use manipulate to choose between different continents, and for each continent we can then compare the life expectancy, GDP per capita, and population for the countries in that continent. One last thing about these charts: it's important to pay attention to the axes themselves. As you may have guessed by now, these bubble charts were inspired by the famous bubble charts of Hans Rosling. At GapMinder.org, we can see the World Health Chart comparing health and wealth of different nations. However, comparing that chart to our chart, we see the spread of the countries is not quite the same. Of course, we could take away the outliers to focus on the range within which most of the countries fall with a national income per person. But it is only when we examine the x-axis in the original chart, we see that it is plotted in the log scale. We make the adjustment and now we see more clearly the main message of this chart, that really most countries are in the middle of the health wealth scale. Here are a few other examples of visualizations. Electricity production by country for the G6 countries. For each country, the breakup is shown across the different sources of production. This example shows the top petroleum producing countries of the world using a geographic visualization function, GeoBubble chart. Graphs are a great tool for visualizing relationship between data samples. This graph shows the words nearest to wolf, connecting each word with the two words nearest to it. This graph shows how letters in a word occur one after the other, or in the case of a sentence, how words are linked to subsequent words in order in the sentence. The Wolfram language offers a large variety of visualization functions. For data visualization itself, there are many specialized functions that can be used for visualizing specific type of data. Across these functions, a number of different styling options can be used to customize the look and feel of the charts, plots, and graphs. Plot theme, as we mentioned earlier, is a way to leverage some pre-built themes to quickly set the style across multiple options. Plot style and chart styles are other useful options for customizing the individual elements in the charts. There are many different ways to combine pictures and arrange them in a custom layout, annotate them effectively, and add interactivity to create engaging infographics. To learn more about creating beautiful visualizations in the Wolfram language, please refer to the detailed hands-on tutorials linked from the documentation pages. Wolfram U also offers a full-length instructor-led course on data visualization in the Wolfram language, as well as many other resources for learning about visualization and graphics.